Welcome back. Today we will discuss a very important concept, the concept of independence of random variables. You will recall that we have already studied independence of events, right, and we have also studied independence of sigma algebras. Now, independence of random variables. So, in elementary treatment of probability, so you might have studied in your undergrad, you would have studied independence of events and independence of random variables, and you get two different definitions, right. What we will do is we will adopt an approach which brings independence of random variables and independence of events, independence of sigma algebras all within the same intellectual framework. Okay. So, I will define independence of random variables in terms of the independence of the sigma algebras generated by the random variables, okay. And then later we will verify that the definition I am going to give is consistent with the more elementary definition of independence that you are familiar with. Okay. So, recall that, so as usual this is the picture. So, you have some omega f p and let us say you have two random variables x and y that map elementary outcomes to R 2. Okay. This is the picture we have, and we said that for any Borel set B in R 2 we can speak of its probability law, its the probability that the pair maps into that Borel set, right. Also recall that we defined sigma algebras generated by random variables as follows. In particular, we said sigma algebra generated by x as the set of all A's subsets of omega of the form A equal to x inverse B for some B in B of R, right, and similarly for sigma y will be you call it something else, set of all call it C in omega such that C is equal to y inverse B for B in B of R. So, these sigma algebras, so the sigma algebra sigma x is consists of all those events here whose outcome is completely determined by the realization of x. In particular, every event in sigma x is of the form set of omegas for which x of omega belongs to B, and similarly every event in sigma y is of the form set of omega for which y of omega belongs to some Borel set, right. With me so far? Now, definition. So, x and y are random variables on omega f p. So, random variables x and y are said to be independent if sigma x and sigma y are independent sigma algebras. Okay. So, this is the definition we will take. Okay. So, as you can already see, I have defined independence of random variables, two random variables x and y in terms of independence of sigma algebras, which is something we understand already. After all, independence of sigma algebras just corresponds to independence of events, right. If you pick one from here and pick one from here, they should be independent events, correct. So, this definition brings independence of random variables, sigma algebras, events, everything in the same framework. Okay. So, in other words, for any Borel sets B1 B2 in B of R, we have probability of omega okay, so let me write this. We have that the events omega such that x of omega belongs to B1 and omega such that y of omega belongs to B2 are independent. Is that clear? So, I defined, so I said x and y are independent random variables if the sigma algebras generated by them are independent sigma algebras, right. What do you mean by independence of, let us call this F1 and let us call this F2, right. So, they are all sub sigma algebras of F, right, and the probability measure is defined on these guys also, right. So, under this measure P, we are saying that these two sigma algebras are independent sigma algebras, which means you pick any whichever set you want from this sigma algebra and any whichever event you want from this one, they must be independent events. Is that clear? However, so events in sigma x are precisely those which are pre-images of Borel sets under X, and similarly events here are pre-images of Borel sets under Y, right, which is what I am considering, right. This is the pre-image of some Borel set B1 under X, this is the pre-image of Borel set B2 under Y, and for any two such Borel sets, the events x of omega belong to B1 and y of omega belong to B2 must be independent events, right, under this measure P. Thus, so I can say I e actually I e P x belongs to B1, I am going to abuse notation from now on, y belongs to B2 is equal to P x belongs to B1 times P y belongs to B2 for all B1 B2 in R, right. This is for any Borel sets B1 B2 in R BR. Okay. Is this clear? So, you can, I mean, this is, you can take this also as a definition, I mean this is the same as saying this, right. So, for any two sets any two Borel sets B1 and B2, probability that x belongs to Borel set B1, y belongs to Borel set B2, these two events are independent. So, it products out like this. Okay. This should be true for every Borel set B1 and B2. Okay. Are there any questions? Yes. Okay. Okay. So, now what is the next step? What do I often do? So, once I make a statement for Borel sets, I will make that statement for generating class, all right. In particular, if x and y are independent random variables, we have probability that, so I am going to apply, so I am going to take B1 as minus infinity x and B2 as minus infinity y, the generating class of the Borel sigma algebra. So, I will simply write this as probability that x less than or equal to little x, y less than or equal to little y. In all this I mean omega such that, okay. So, that is I mean I am not writing that again and again. So, that is equal to probability of x less than or equal to little x times probability y less than or equal to little y for all x y in R. Now, what is this? This is the joint CDF, correct, and this is the product of the marginal CDFs, right, i. e. f x y of x comma y is equal to f x of x f y of y for all x y in R. Okay. So, if x and y are random variables which are independent, then the joint CDF is given by the product of the marginal CDFs, correct. Now, this is the definition that you are familiar with, is it not? How do you define independent random variables in more elementary treatments? You say that x and y are independent if the joint CDF factorizes into product of the marginals. However, that is not quite what I said, right. I defined independence in this way, independence of sigma algebras. From that I wrote down this Borel set condition, and then I said, so this should be true for all Borel sets, right. Then I said, in particular if Borel sets are semi infinite intervals, this must hold, right. So, according to my definition here, this holds, okay, but now you have to prove the, I mean from if you think that well the elementary definition that saying that x and y are independent, if this holds, will not be a complete definition if the converse were not true, right. I mean if this were to hold, is it true that this definition holds, is it true in particular that for all Borel sets this holds? Understand that, see if this definition and the elementary definition are indeed equivalent, one must imply the other, correct. So, what I am saying is the definition I have given here implies the elementary definition that you are familiar with. However, is it true that the elementary definition implies our current definition? I only know this for, see, this only means that the probability on the probability law over the pi system products out, correct. It may not hold for all Borel sets, right, you have to prove it. So, that is something you have to prove, okay. So, theorem x and y are independent if and only if f x y of x comma y is equal to f x of x f y of y for all x comma y in R. So, one direction we have already proved in this if and only if, right. So, if I write if and only if, right, which part have I proven? If x and y are independent, then this holds I have proved, right, which means I have proved that bit, only if has been proved, right. Yes, I have to prove the if part, which means that if this is given to me, I need to prove x and y are independent in the sense that sigma x and sigma y are independent sigma algebras, which is the same as saying this holds, right, for all Borel sets, right. So, this requires a proof. Okay. So, the proof this proof again I will not do in proper detail, I will only say that. So, I already stated this theorem on pi systems, right, that if you specify a probability measure on a pi system, it gets uniquely specified on the sigma algebra generated by it. Then you can also show that if on a pi system a probability measure products out on the pi system, then it has to product out on the sigma algebra. Okay, that is also something you can show, and that is how this comes out, right. All I am saying is on the pi system of minus infinity x minus infinity y, the probability measure is independent, right, and then you have by the lemma that I just stated, you can prove that it translates to the entire Borel sigma algebra. Okay. Or you can also approach it using Carat-Theodori. There is also another approach to this, to the if part using Carat-Theodori. Okay. So, this follows from, so if part follows from the following property of pi systems. If okay, G and H are independent pi systems on omega, then sigma g and sigma, well, this is not what I really want to say. So, let me just let us see, let us say sigma g and sigma h are so, in this case our pi system will be the set of all omega for which x is less than or equal to little x, okay, and here h will be set of all omegas for which y is less than or equal to little y, okay, and sigma g will be sigma x, okay, the sigma algebra generated by G. So, and you have, so what this condition implies is that G and H are independent pi systems, right. I mean this is exactly the same as saying if G is the pi system of x of omega less than or equal to x and H is the pi system of y of omega less than or equal to y, these two are independent pi systems by this. Then from this you can prove, I mean this is a property you have to prove from which this will follow, okay. It requires a proof, okay, but this you can see the proof is there in Williams if you want. So, so is this clear? So, why, so it appears that I am complicating things, right. You may just be very happy with this definition, this as the definition, right, but actually you can take this as the definition, it is equivalent. Once you have proved this result, you can take this as the concept of independence. The reason I do this, as I said, I mean all in more advanced treatments you always look at independence of random variables as independence of the sigma algebras they generate, and it is actually a more elegant treatment. It may be a little bit hard to digest in the beginning, but the nice thing is the independent of events and independence of the random variables come into the same framework. They are not like disparate concepts, right. In fact, the independence of events also can be defined in terms of independence of random variables, right. Now, what we did is we define independence of events, define independence of sigma algebras, then we define independence of random variables in terms of independence of sigma algebras. You can also do the opposite, you can just say that x and y are independent is same as saying sigma x and sigma y are independent, then say events A and B are independent if the corresponding indicator random variables are independent, if A and B are independent, if I A and I B are independent random variables. Okay, so, it is all within the same framework now, you can actually prove that they are equivalent. I A and I B are independent random variables if and only if A and B are independent events, okay, that you can show as an exercise. So, even if you never defined independence of events, you can go the other way as well, that is what I am saying, right. So, it is all in the same framework.